So what you're seeing on the screen is my login, or my default login screen. This is where I land when I log in. Now, depending on who you are and what your particular focus area is within the IT organization, you might pick a different dashboard to land in. So we've got a number of different dashboards that we make available. So if your primary focus is on, say you're an operating systems admin or something of that nature, you may choose to land into a dashboard. You notice all these dashboards, they all have a certain number of reports built into them, as well as the ability to go to a direct reports tab in here. If your focus is on software asset management or lifecycle analysis, again, another dashboard that's available allows us to go in and look at software that's coming up or that's in end of support state, end of extended support has been exceeded, or here's some software that's coming up for end of life within the next 6 months, right? So break down to these dashboards. Again, they help us to kind of focus and find find the information that we're looking for more accurately. So I'm going to jump back to my baseline dashboard. I mentioned during the description of how the product works, the automatic grouping capability. The way the automatic grouping capability works is, again, when we connect to a host, part of what we do is we will pull the netstat information and build a table of all of the active connections that are being supported by that particular device. So if we want to go in, we want to look at a grouping, we can go in and quickly drill in and see the devices that are part of that grouping. Now, I've got a bunch of test machines, a bunch of other things, but here what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually look at the devices that make up, say, our email environment. But I might not know that right off the bat. I might be able to use this as I say, a breadcrumb in order to be able to build out that application definition. So what I would want to do is I'd want to go in and take a look at maybe a visualization of that server or that grouping as it took place. Now, what you would see out of the box before we've created a definition would be this view here. So we've automatically captured the fact that we've got 2 machines here running in a Microsoft cluster. We've got another machine over here, and this machine happens to be running the BlackBerry Enterprise server. We can see that there's an Exchange server here, and the Enterprise server or the BlackBerry server is communicating with that particular Exchange software. We can also see a dependency built between the IIS service and the web server itself that's providing our webmail. So again, this kind of gives us that initial breadcrumb that we need to be able to go in and define this as a business service, i.e. put it into a business context. And once we do that, what we end up with is a view that shows the business service and all of the associated components to that business service. So that's what automatic grouping does for us. If we look at how we build those automatic groupings, we have what we call a collaborative application mapping, which is really and truly kind of a wizard-driven interface that helps us to define those applications. So if we take a look at a quick example, this is a quick query that we built. So when we go in, we define the different groups or functional components. So in this case, we have a 3-tier application with a web service, a mid-tier, and a database. So I would define those 3 functional groups, and then for each of those groups, I could go into the data that we've already collected and run a query and filter out the data that I'm looking for. So I know that the application that I'm trying to map is my web claims application, and I'm going to look for, a web service, a jar file that contains information about the sales lunch claim. So that's how I would define the mid-tier, right? And we would put that information together very quickly to be able to go back and then associate that with a mid-tier, again, through that same query process. We're going to go through and we're going to find the web claims application, again, running in a WAR file on an Oracle WebLogic server, so on and so forth. Once we build out this particular definition, we end up being able to go down here and generate what we call TPL, which is a technology pattern library. It's basically the pattern that defines when the discovery engine finds this particular grouping of machines, we want to give it a name of, web claims. Now, by mapping it down to the level of the component itself, rather than from server to server, what happens is if I move my database from server A to server B, I don't break the model that I've built in my CMDB. I simply update the model to show that that database is now running on a different server. And that's the idea behind how the ADDM functions as far as creating these application map definitions. So I'm gonna run home real quick, and we're gonna take a kind of a quick trip down a use case scenario. So our first use case scenario might be something along the lines of how does the service desk benefit from the information, or the support team benefit from the information that we've captured. Over the last couple of weeks, we've gotten a number of calls, or last couple of days, we've gotten a number of calls from our customers saying that the online trading system seems to be very slow and they're missing opportunities for trades. So, we've decided to open up some incidents and pass this on to our support people to find out what it is that's going on with our online application. A good place to start might be to look at what is that application look like. So I would drill into my trading platform application, and within the application I can see all of the various software instances that go into providing services to that, or providing the underlying service to that business application. I can also see the hosts that are associated with delivering that online application. Again, this is the tabular view of the information that's available to us. So again, my focus here is things seem to have slowed down, or things seem to have changed. I have the ability that I can go in and I can compare side by side two different machines, or I can look at what was there before versus what's there now. But again, I can very quickly drill in, and I can see that, so we've got a red X here, which is an indication that there's a problem between the network interface on the host and the switch that it's connected to. I can drill in, I can see the detailed information, and I can see that there's a number of misconfigurations in the settings for that handshake, or that particular device. Well, if that's the case on that machine, maybe I've got a similar situation on this machine, and I can see that I have a similar situation. So now what I've got is a situation where I can now call my network operations people, and I can say, hey, I've got misconfigurations on the network interface for this online application. Can you fix that problem? Potentially opening up a change request, tracking that until it finally gets closed. So that's one concept for how we can break down the silos of information. So if I'm the network guy, I know how the network devices are configured. If I'm a server guy, I know how the servers are configured. But that data overlap between those two groups, in many cases, it doesn't. Being able to capture all that information into a single place allows us to better understand what's going on in the environment. So now I'm the network guy, and I said, well, if I've got an issue there, I know that we did an upgrade on some network devices over the weekend. Let's go see what kind of problems we've generated across the enterprise. By clicking on this quick report that's built into ADDM, we can see where the mismatches are for every device in our environment that has a mismatch in the configuration between the switches it's connected to and the interface that it's connected on. So again, as a network operations person, I can benefit from this information because I'm seeing both sides of the silo. So it's the server configuration information as well as the switch information. And I can make whatever network adjustments that need to be made in order to fix that. So again, that's a quick example of potentially where, service desks, service management folks can benefit quicker time to resolution, quicker understanding of a problem. Again, being able to see both sides of the fence and resolve that problem quickly. Another example might be I'm an asset manager, and I've been asked to create a report that says the company's decided to go green or has a green IT initiative. And what they want to do is they want to assess all of the old hardware in the environment and decide whether or not it needs to be replaced, and then understand the risk to the business of replacing that hardware. In that scenario, I might start as an asset manager in the server consolidation area, where we can start to look for potential candidates to be consolidated or even eliminated or upgraded or what have you. A great place to start there would be, we found a number of machines with slow CPU speed. If we drill into the slow CPU speed or the bar there that showed that less than 1 megahertz or 1 gigahertz processor, we can see that I've got a number of these Sun Enterprise 10Ks with 400 megahertz processors in them and 16 processors in the box itself. Remember, I'm an asset manager. I don't know operations. I don't know what drives what business applications and so on. I just need to keep track of what machines need to be cycled and replaced over a period of time. So what I want to do is I want to drill in and I want to see where these applications live in my environment. Well, what I can drill in and I can see that very quickly. I can see that the machine is belongs to our equities organization. It's part of our online trading application, and it's got 8 software instances running on it and a number of machines related to it. So what does that tell me? Well, what else do I need to know about this machine to make an accurate decision? Well, I can see that the operating system is extremely old and it's not even supported anymore by Sun. I can see that this particular device is generating 38,784 BTUs per hour in my data center. Having 4 of these machines in my data center is the equivalent of taking 3 top-of-the-line Weber gas grills, rolling them into your data center, opening the lid, and turning them on full blast and walking away. So, these are potential candidates. I can also see that this particular device is consuming an entire rack in my data center. And I've got 4 racks being consumed by these machines. So this is a great candidate. So now how do I assess the risk of replacing this machine? I want to be able to create a report. And part of that report is going to be a visualization of what it is that these particular machines do in the environment, where they live, and so on. So I can select those machines. Again, I can go into the visualization, and I can do, maybe this time I'll do an application view, and I can see at a very high level the applications that these particular machines support and where they fit in the environment. Now, it's very difficult to see, but you can see that the 4 machines that I highlighted here are encircled in an orange box. I can see also that they're part of a Sun cluster, but I recognize the fact that they're part of my online banking application, so this is a good indication of why those machines haven't been touched in a long time, because this is a core process or a core service to my organization, but it's also a huge risk to have these old machines sitting in my environment that are not supported, that the hardware is inefficient and old, and so on. So part of my report might be that I want to create an image of this in that report. So I can hit the print button, and I can go out and I can very quickly print this view and import that into the report that I'm gonna send to my superiors. So that's one aspect of asset management. Again, we've got software lifecycle management. If I'm looking for a particular software and I want to understand, what my posture is versus the licenses that I own, I can always drill in. I can get a summary of the software. Again, looking at this particular dashboard gives me a focus point. It allows me to very quickly get at the data that I'm looking for